Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Zyori Vlogs. As always, guys, it's been a little while, and a lot of stuff has been happening over here at the ZyoriTV HQ, and I'm here to update you about all the changes that we've made over the past couple weeks. First things first, check out the backdrop, bitches. If you didn't see it yet, I don't know what you've been doing. We've been streaming a lot with it. We've done the Dota Radio Morning Show, 4 episodes now. Yesterday was the most recent with episode number 4. We've got this awesome backdrop, and a lot of people have been asking me, where can I buy those prints? They're awesome, I love them, and I would buy some of those. And unfortunately, they're out of stock, as it may be. The artist that I got them from used to sell them. He does not anymore, and this was one of the last batches that he had. I actually sent him an email this morning asking him if he wants me to point people in the right direction. I don't know if he's still selling them on kind of an ad hoc basis, but they are not generally available in terms of just going to a website, throwing in your credit card number, and picking a few of them up. But I'm really happy with how they turned out. I do have a few more that I haven't rotated in yet, and while we're on the topic of the backdrop, probably going to repaint this bad boy white. The yellow is just the color that was in this room ahead of time, and the plan was to paint it white, but I wanted to hang everything up and make sure it looked right. So we're probably going to do some sort of an off-white, kind of light creamy color to really make these bad daddies stand out. We're also going to get rid of that metal thing. There used to be a light hanging there. So the studio backdrop isn't quite done yet, but I think these canvas prints are a good improvement. They're not exactly straight either. Actually, yesterday on Reddit, someone mentioned that, it looks like a couple of those are crooked. And you're absolutely right. Some of them are crooked. And the reason for that is I had this awesome grid laid out on paper that was really cool. And then I hung it up and it looked like shit. Because I realized this space kind of behind my person, this outline, you don't need anything back there. That can be negative space because your body is going to fill it up. So I had to make some last minute decisions to move things around and fill in the gaps as best I could. And at that point, I had already been working on that project for like an hour and a half. So I just got them up there, and they're a little crooked. But some of that is also my camera is not set quite right. The tripod is not quite level, I don't think, so that doesn't really help either. But anyway, our new backdrop is here. I'm quite happy with it. With this backdrop marked the beginning of the Dota Radio Morning Show. If you haven't seen it yet, it's the latest portion of the Dota Radio project. It started as a Monday through Friday sort of audio-only broadcast, and it's already evolved a bit. We're now doing it on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's only about 4 hours a week or so. We go for about an hour 10, hour 15, something like that every morning. And it's just to start off your day. It's sort of a Dan Patrick-esque. We mix in interviews and cover current events in Dota 2, news, anything that we think is interesting. And there's a lot of little interesting segments that we've done, like Where's My Meta? We're going to start doing trivia games, polls, that kind of stuff to get the audience interaction there. We're still trying to figure out the format, exactly how we want to do it, but so far it's been off to a good start. We saw Owie 2000 on the first episode, which was great. We got to peak around over 450 concurrents, which is great for a launch. Yesterday, we had a really interesting guest. We had the manager / CEO of Speed Gaming, aka Team Kaipi, who is also the founder of the Natalic Pro League, which had some issues over the weekend. So that was a really interesting guest. He shared a lot of cool insight with us. That interview is up on the Dota Radio YouTube channel, youtube.com/TheDotaRadio. And coming up tomorrow, we have the biggest guest we've had so far, coming up on episode 5. Pyrion Flax is going to be joining us, and if you don't know who he is, type that into Google and you'll see his videos pop up. He is hysterical. I'm honored that he is willing to come on the show. It's going to be awesome. And on that same note with the Dota Radio Morning Show, it's been going pretty well so far. It's a simulcast, which means we've got an audio-only stream running alongside our video stream, and then the whole thing is archived as an audio-only episode, and then we have YouTube VODs that are broken in half for like 2 different 30-minute parts for each episode, and it's all archived right away. I mean, the VODs and audio-only are up within like maybe 15-20 minutes from by the time the broadcast is off. So it's been working pretty well in terms of that format and the simulcast. We've got a lot of audio-only listeners. We've got some good video listeners. And the production is pretty top-notch. I have to say the morning show is the highest production quality of anything that I've produced that I've been the EP for. Where I'm controlling the camera, I'm making all the assets. It's working pretty well. I also have to say the team that I've assembled for the Dota Radio Morning Show is fabulous. I'm kind of the lead guy. I'm the show host. I also do all the production. And I also run write most of the content. I write like the vast majority of it, probably about 90% or so. Then the other two are Hippie. You probably have seen him around the channel a couple times. Of course, he's the analytical co-caster I've been using on Dota Radio, and he's great. He's our analysis guy. He's there to just sort of add to the conversation, give his perspective. And every episode, there's a segment that he does. So far, we've been calling it the kind of like the analysis desk, where he just looks at hero changes from 6.79 and talks about how they've impacted the meta here since that patch released and all that kind of stuff. So he's had a pretty interesting segment every day to give us some analytical perspective. Then our third host is Monolith, and he's a really interesting guy. He is really on the show because we needed someone with connections to get these big guests, and he's our guy. He's our master of communications, as I've coined him, and so far he's done a great job. He's set us up with great guests. He's been really easy to work with, but he's also the manager of Team Dignitas, the Dota team, North American Dota 2 team. So he has a lot of great perspective to add, just as a team manager, someone who's very involved in the Dota scene, and he does some freelance work, so he's pretty much full-time esports as well, so he's pretty dedicated. So far, it's been working out great. This is the easiest group of folks on an esports project I've ever worked with. Maybe easy wasn't the right word, but they are extremely easy to work with. Everybody does their thing. It's sort of like that part in The Office right after there's no manager, is that after Dwight gets fired, when Joe Bennett owns the office under Saber, and she offers Jim the manager position, and he turns it down because everyone's work. It's right before Dwight gets hired. Jim turns it down, then Dwight accepts it, and Jim turns it down because he says, we all work fine without a manager. Let's not break a good thing here. And that's sort of how what this reminds me of, where I'm kind of the manager, but my managerial skills aren't even really needed. Everybody just does their thing. Everyone's really excited about the content. We're all focused on building a high quality show and proving that we can deliver good content, on a regular basis. And so far, we've been living up to that goal. Some of the topics we've covered have been fabulous. I'm really proud of some of the talking points we've done and some of the analysis, and I think it's been interesting for a lot of people out there. So anyway, check out the Dota Radio Morning Show. Oh, it's too early. I'm all stumbly today, folks. And here we can take a look here. I think I have some of the overlays. Yeah, there's the Dota Radio Morning Show overlay here. We can get rid of that at least. This is the portal. If you haven't checked it out yet already, you can see my WordPress thing at the top, but still, this is the portal, dotaradio.com/morning show. This is where you'll find everything you need to know, the schedule, the Twitters of the host. You can subscribe on iTunes. You'll have a countdown timer for when the next episode airs live, the RSS feed, of course, the YouTube subscribe, and then you've got all the episodes over here with show and hide, with your audio only, your description, and then the 2 parts broken down for you. Or if that's too much, you can also just go to the individual page, and that's where you can check all that stuff out, and you can also post comments about it. How beautiful is that? So again, I'm really excited about the Dota Radio Show, all the stuff we have coming up. I'm really happy with how that portal has turned out. Did make some changes to dotaradio.com as well. Going to continue to update that site as more content comes in. While we're talking about Dota Radio, though, I should talk about the lack of casting we've been doing on Dota Radio. Hippie and myself have not been covering much, and that's because we've run into some issues. Our plan upon my return from vacation, starting was October 16th, or 15th is when I got home from vacation, and we started covering D2CL on the 17th, and then we were going to cover MLG Full Sail. Our stream is finally popular enough that we've run into issues with conflicting streams, where tournaments don't like us streaming their tournaments off of the Dota TV tickets. Now, Valve says that's okay. Twitch says they will take down streams that get reported for streaming unauthorized content. So we ran into that issue a little bit. Both of those, though, unfortunately, D2CL is sponsored by Dailymotion, and our stream is on Twitch, so that was the big source of the headache. And same with MLG. They're not using Dailymotion, but they have their own streaming platform that isn't Twitch, and we were streaming on Twitch. So we've been playing around a little bit and trying to figure out what tournament we want to cover now, and we have to be much more careful and actually need to approach tournament organizers and be more official about it instead of just casting from a ticket. So that's why our casting Dota matches has been kind of on hold. We've been focusing more on getting the morning show rolling, and after this week, I think we'll have it down to sort of a formula, so to speak, and we can just plug in our data and then cast in between. So it should be pretty good. We're glad now to have original content, though, on Dota Radio now that we can mix in with our casting. We definitely have every intention of continuing our casting, our being myself and Hippie. We're both still fingers crossed for that MLG position that we both applied for. We've had a little bit of a dialogue going with MLG Adam, so that's been kind of fun as well. 2 last things I want to talk about here. This vlog is going on much longer than I had originally planned. Number 1, we will be testing out our stream on Hitbox TV. If you don't know what that is, there's an article about it on ZyoriTV. I think it's the most recent article on the site right now. And Hitbox TV is a new streaming platform. They have a really interesting kind of viewer tournament where to get casters onto their platform, they're doing a 10,000 euro prize pool tournament. And it basically goes out to the most popular streamers over 10 weeks. So we may be switching to that platform. We're probably going to be testing that out later today and make sure everything works okay. And we may get our feet wet on that front. Last thing we need to talk about, the Cosplay Room, the Monday night cosplay podcast presented by ZyoriTV is no longer. It's no longer happening. We threw in the towel on the old Cosplay Room podcast. Unfortunately, the show as a whole just never really turned out the way I had envisioned it in my head when I had first conceived the idea. And there was a little bit of drama about our last guest. There were some complaints about myself as a host. Some of them warranted. Of course, I'm not a cosplayer myself, so it does get a little bit more difficult to do in-depth interviews with prominent cosplayers. When I had the idea, I was not producing anything. And that was a market where I saw no one was really capitalizing on that content, and I was hoping that I could introduce the people, do the production stuff, and kind of be the glue that holds everyone together, but everyone else would be motivated enough to write the content and sort of take point on a lot of things. And I didn't really factor in experience. I found people that were popular, that were passionate, but they weren't experienced at all with broadcasting. So it just wasn't a good fit, and we decided to throw in the towel on that project for now. We may do sort of hit or miss cosplay rooms depending on like events. Like if we all go to PAX East, we may do a reunion cosplay room to follow up. But what are you going to do? It was a good experiment. We got 13 episodes in, and we're going to call it kaput there, which is A-okay for me, because now that gives me more time to focus on the Dota Radio Morning Show. So honestly, the timing probably couldn't have worked out better for myself personally. And just a quick shout out, I do want to thank my other hosts, in particular Danielle Beaulieu. She was there from the beginning. Her and I worked together, and I'm glad that we were able to at least produce a short series and keep our feet wet in the way of broadcasting. So that's it though, guys. That's all the news coming from ZyoriTV for the past couple of weeks here. There will be plenty more news to follow in the upcoming weeks. Things are progressing very quickly here. Dota Radio is still chugging along, picking up steam, and we appreciate any of your support that you can give us. Check out DotaRadio.com. Remember to follow us on the social media at Dota Radio, at the Dota Radio on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So until next time, guys, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other. We'll see you on the morning show tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the amazing Pyrion Flax.